What's good, hoop heads? Your courtside analyst Tips and Streams is back in the game. On the slate today, breakdowns for the latest NBA matchups set to light up the hardwood. Before we tip off, make sure you slam that subscribe button on our YouTube channel to stay in the loop with all our predictions and top picks. So, let's get started. The first today's prediction is for matchup between Chicago Bulls and Philadelphia 76ers. The hardwood is buzzing at the Sixers fortress, where the Windy City's Bulls are gearing up for a showdown that's guaranteed to keep the fans on the edge of their seats. Rolling in with a 15-19 record, the Bulls are bracing for a face-off in the Sixers' den, who are sitting pretty with a solid 22-10. The scoring stats lean heavily towards Philly, with the Sixers dropping a whopping 121.94 points per game, overshadowing the Bulls' 110.03. When it comes to shooting precision, Philly's got the upper hand, netting 48.39% in field goals and 37.95% beyond the arc, compared to the Bulls' 45.37% and 36.10%, respectively. In the hustle for rebounds and assists and the overall court strategy, the Sixers have been outplaying the Bulls consistently, a streak that's tough to overlook. Looking back at their previous face-offs, it's a mixed record. In their last 10 matchups, the Bulls have clinched 4 victories and beat the spread, showing they've got the chops for an upset. But in their recent tussles at this court, the Bulls have a slight upper hand, winning and beating the spread in 3 out of 5. The Bulls are riding a wave of momentum with a solid 12-3 record against the spread in their last 15 games, showcasing a tenacity that defies their underdog label. Despite a strong away game, they're hamstrung by key player injuries. Vucevic, Levine, Ball, and Craig are benched. The Sixers, on their home turf, are a force to reckon with, holding a 9-3 record against the spread in their last dozen games. They've been consistently dominant against Eastern Conference rivals and have an enviable January record, going 7-1 straight up in their recent 8. The uncertainty around Joel Embiid's game-time decision adds an element of suspense. Crunching the numbers, the odds are leaning towards the Sixers, but the Bulls' gritty performance, especially on the road, is not to be underestimated. The trends favor the Bulls to beat the spread, especially given this margin and their strong road record against the spread. However, the Sixers' command in key areas like shooting accuracy and rebounding, along with their home court prowess, gives them the advantage. Wrapping it up, the Bulls might have the grit to challenge the spread, but the Sixers, with their solid home game and statistical edge, are poised for victory. It's a clash of Chicago's determination against Philly's finesse. Expect a nail-biter, but my money's on the Sixers clinching this one, with the Bulls keeping it within 11. The next prediction is for the match between San Antonio Spurs and Memphis Grizzlies. This season, the hardwood has been tough for both squads. The Spurs, sitting at a tough 527, have been lighting it up offensively, dropping an average of 111.68 points a game with a solid 45.61% shooting from the field. But when it comes to defense, they're dropping the ball. The Grizzlies, with a 10-22 record, are a bit behind in the scoring game at 107.23 points a game and shooting at 43.87%. When they face off, keep an eye on the Spurs' sharpshooting from downtown, hitting 34.55% from the three-point line, just edging out the Grizzlies' 33.35%. The battle for the boards is tight, with the Spurs snagging an average of 43.23 rebounds a game, just above the Grizzlies' 42.10. But the Spurs have the upper hand in dishing out assists, averaging 29.29 per game compared to the Grizzlies' 24.13. Historically, the Spurs have been on the losing end against the Grizzlies, dropping the last 10 faceoffs. Their away game is cause for concern too, with a 1-12 record in their recent road trips and a 5-game losing streak in Memphis. Despite this, they've been clutch in covering the spread in 5 of these 6 games against Memphis, showing they can hang in there despite the L's. On the injury front, the Spurs might be missing Keldon Johnson and are definitely without Zach Collins, which could shake up their offensive rhythm. The Grizzlies are feeling the injury bug too, missing key players Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, which might leave gaps in their defense and board work. Looking at the trends, the Spurs are a mixed bag, with a 1-5 record against the spread in their last 6, but tend to go over the total in 7 out of their last 10. The Grizzlies are a bit wobbly too, going 4-8 against the spread in their last 12, but they're consistent in staying under the total. in 6 of their last 9. Given the home court advantage and past games in Memphis, the Grizzlies look to have the edge. They've been owning their turf against San Antonio, and despite this season's struggles, they're ready to take advantage of the Spurs' defensive gaps. The Spurs might catch a bit of wind in their sails with Keldon Johnson back on the court, but they've been in a deep freeze in the league standings. The point spread's wide, and the Grizzlies haven't exactly been firing on all cylinders. Still, the Spurs don't look like they'll give the Grizzlies much trouble. I'm betting the Grizzlies will not only take the win, but also beat the 10-point spread. I'm also laying down some cash on the total score. Both squads have been hitting the gas in their last few matchups, playing at breakneck speed. I reckon this showdown will be no different. Count me in for the Spurs and Grizzlies to rack up over 233 points. The next prediction is for the match between Brooklyn Nets and New Orleans Pelicans. The Brooklyn Nets and New Orleans Pelicans are gearing up for a showdown at the Smoothie King Center, promising a riveting encounter on the court. The Nets, with a 15-18 tally, step onto the court as the less favored team against the 1914 Pelicans. The stats and trends lay out a vivid forecast for the game. The Nets have hit a rough patch, evident in their 1-9 record against the spread in the recent 10 games, struggling to meet the expectations. Their away game performance has been notably weak, with a 0-6 against the spread in their latest 6 road games. Despite these struggles, they've consistently outmaneuvered the Pelicans, boasting an 8-2 record against the spread in their last 10 face-offs, including a robust 8-1 in direct matches. However, their road games in New Orleans have typically seen high scores, with totals going over in 14 of the last 16 encounters. The Pelicans present a mixed bag of trends. They've secured 7 wins in their last 10 games, but haven't been as successful against the spread, with a 2-4 record in their recent 6 matches. At home, their 1-4 record against the spread in the last 5 games shows room for improvement. However, in clashes with Eastern Conference teams like the Nets, the games tend to be high-scoring, with 4 of the last 5 exceeding the total points line. Injury-wise, the Nets are missing key players Ben Simmons and Lonnie Walker, while the Pelicans are keeping an eye on Trey Murphy and Matt Ryan. On the stats front, the Pelicans lead in field goal percentage, netting 48.20% compared to the Nets' 46.66%, and also have the upper hand in average points per game. However, Brooklyn shines in three-point shooting and rebounds per game, factors that could be game changers in this tight contest. Taking these elements into account, the Pelicans, with their home advantage and marginally superior stats, seem set for a win. But the Nets' historical upper hand in this matchup and their urgency to rebound suggest they might beat the spread, especially if their three-point game is on point. To sum up, while the Pelicans might clinch a victory, the Nets are strong contenders to beat the 7-point spread, promising a closely contested and high-scoring game. My money's on the Brooklyn Nets to outdo the spread. The next prediction is for the match between Boston Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder. The Boston Celtics, with a stellar 26-6 record, are tearing up the court with 6 straight victories. Their offensive play is nothing short of electric, racking up an average of 120.8 points per game, and their precision from the field is on point at 48.3%. Defensively, they're a force to be reckoned with, holding their opponents to 110.3 points per game, which puts them 4th in the league rankings. Players like Jason Tatum, dropping 26.9 points per game, are pivotal to their winning formula. On the flip side, the Oklahoma City Thunder, sporting a solid 22-9 record, are a formidable force, especially on their home court, where they've clinched 13 of their 22 wins. They're charging into this showdown on a 4-game win roll. The Thunder packs a punch on offense, outscoring the Celtics with 121.3 points per game and boasting a superior field goal percentage at 49.9%. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the team's top scorer with 31.2 points per game, poses a serious threat. The Celtics are the bookies' favorites by 3 points, but the Thunder have been defying the odds, beating the spread in 22 of their 31 games. The game's over-under is pegged at a high of 240 points, a nod to both teams' scoring prowess. In their recent face-offs, the Celtics have come out on top in 7 out of the last 10 games, yet when it comes to beating the spread, they've only managed it 3 times in those encounters. In their last 5 games on Thunder's court, the Celtics claimed 4 victories but only surpassed the spread in 2. The trend suggests the Celtics struggle to beat the spread against the Thunder, hinting at a possible advantage for Oklahoma City in this aspect. Moreover, the Thunder's home court strength this season could be a game changer. Injury updates could sway the game too. The Celtics might be without Drew Holiday, who's on the questionable list. The Thunder, however, are all systems that go with a clean health slate. Weighing all these elements, a tight battle seems on the cards, with the Celtics possibly edging it out due to their overall solidity, and the Thunder likely to beat the spread, backed by their health and home advantage. But don't bank on this as a sure bet. This clash has all the makings of a titanic tussle, where defense will play a crucial role. For the Thunder's young squad, it's a golden chance to prove their mettle against the best, elevating the game to a playoff-like intensity. My money is on the total points staying under 240, betting on maybe not a low scoring, but an affair that will not exceed the set margin. My final bet is the Boston Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder under 240. The next prediction is for the match between Orlando Magic and Golden State Warriors. Tonight's showdown in the paint between the Orlando Magic and the Golden State Warriors at the Chase Center is gearing up to be a real barn burner. With the Warriors sitting at 15-17, they're itching to snap their three-game skid against the Magic, who boast a more impressive 19-13 record. Despite a bit of a rough patch, the Warriors are still the oddsmakers' pick, favored by 3.5 points. Their home court has been a fortress lately, with 8 wins in their last 10 home games, showcasing their dominance at the Chase Center. The Warriors' offensive game is nothing short of spectacular, dropping an average of 116.81 points per game, drilling 36.86% of their shots from downtown, and snagging 47.28 rebounds a night. The Magic, on the flip side, are not to be underestimated with their stronger season record and gritty play. They're racking up 113.03 points on average each game and shooting a solid 47.41% from the field. While their three-point game trails the Warriors at 33.26%, their defensive prowess is formidable, holding opponents to just 110.7 points. Looking at the recent head-to-head matchups, the Magic have the upper hand, taking 6 wins and beating the spread in 7 out of their last 10 encounters. However, in their last 5 visits to Golden State, they've only grabbed 1 win, but managed to beat the spread thrice. This streak, combined with the Warriors' strong home game, sets the stage for an unpredictable clash. Injuries might tip the scales too. The Magic are sweating over the fitness of key players like Joe Ingles, Jonathan Isaac, and Markelle Fultz, while the Warriors are down Draymond Green due to suspension. All things considered, the scales tilt a tad in favor of the Orlando Magic covering the plus 4-point spread. Their solid season performance, a knack for playing the underdog role to the hilt, coupled with the Warriors' recent hiccups, despite their home court advantage, point to a nail-biter where the Magic might just edge out a win, or at least cover the 4-point spread. It all boils down to whether the Warriors can rally back in their stronghold and if the Magic can sustain their impressive season form. This matchup is a must-see for every hoop head. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Charlotte Hornets and Sacramento Kings. Tonight's showdown brings the Charlotte Hornets and the Sacramento Kings to the hardwood. The Hornets, with a scoreboard reading 7 victories and 24 defeats, are hitting the court after a tough season. Meanwhile, the Kings, boasting 19 wins against 12 losses, have been balling with more consistency and firepower. Breaking down the team's recent plays and stats, the Kings are leading in several critical zones. They're scoring more buckets with a field goal rate of 47.37%, edging out the Hornets' 46.71%. Their three-point game is also slightly sharper. On the rebound front, the Kings are dominating, which could be a game-changer tonight. A key play tonight is the Hornets facing a back-to-back game. History shows they've been off their game in these situations, dropping all 4 back-to-back matches this season. This could drain their energy and affect their game tonight. Checking the injury roster, the Hornets are missing heavy hitters like Gordon Hayward, Frank Ntilikina, LaMelo Ball, and Mark Williams. On the flip side, the Kings are in full force, tipping the scales in their favor. While the Hornets have historically outplayed the Kings, especially in Sacramento showdowns, current form and fitness levels might shift the dynamics tonight. Betting trends are also pivotal. As tip-off nears, the odds are swaying, hinting at possible outcomes. Currently, it looks like the Kings are the bettor's choice. Weighing all these factors, I'm calling it for the Sacramento Kings to reign supreme. Their top-notch field goal and three-point stats, rebounding prowess, and a fully loaded lineup give them the upper hand against the struggling Hornets. The Hornets' shaky record in back-to-back games also leans the odds towards the Kings. As for betting, I'm sitting this one out but predict the Kings will beat the spread. The total score is likely to exceed 232.5, given both teams' defensive lapses and the Hornets' habit of high-scoring road games. With 3 of the Hornets' 4 back-to-back games hitting over 230 points, it's a safe bet to expect a repeat. The Hornets have lost their 4 back-to-backs by an average of 21.75 points. For those laying down bets, my tip is to back the Sacramento Kings for the win and expect the total points to exceed the set margin of 232.